anything like Camille again. As Cassio banned away now by Kingzone. I actually do think that she's the most worthy ban, at least on the current patch. Varus now banned away by Afreeca, so they are heavily focusing on Deft. Kingzone banning away Galio now.
How about a Lucian ban for the triple ban on Deft? That would feel pretty nice if you are Deft, but respect his Ezreal, and after game 1, you better respect his Varus. And so they both do get taken off the board. Also going to remove the Rise to the very big happiness there from Pawn. Puts on a big smile after seeing that ban.
And Rakan actually being banned away by Kingzone. First pick's going to go over to Afreeca, and it looks like they're hovering the Lucian, and again, they're able to triple flex this, or you would assume so. So it's a very safe initial blind, and then Kingzone hand it over to them. And now they have option to get that Camille if they want it. A lot of people would consider her the strongest jungler in the game. I personally think it would be Karthus. But looks like Kingzone have other plans in mind with a Urgot hover.
Yeah, Urgot is, it's always first pick worthy, as we do see this time first picked by Kingzone alongside Akali, which will be hopping on the Rift. Was banned in game number 1 by Kingzone, actually, so they do pick it up here.
A little bit surprising, and now with Galio banned away as well, some people might argue that there's no real clear answer to her in the mid lane. She's just an absolute monster in the later stages, and now Afreeca, they're getting that Camille again. It's probably going to be Dread on that, and Thresh now being hovered by them. And if you're Kingzone right here, you could maybe end up picking up an AD carry out of fear that maybe you continue to get pinched, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case for them, as they end up locking in the Jax as a means to counter the Camille. Probably going to have a very similar setup this game, where Cuz is going to be on that Jax to neutralize the Camille and the Lucian later on, and then Rascal on the Urgot up in top lane. Just has to basically go even, and all is going to be okay. And as we move into the ban phase, Lissandra, guess another champion that some would say does well against Akali, at least. Alistar now banned away by Afreeca.
Yeah, they want to take off the Rift, some stuff that can be good against that Thresh, and no Aatrox in this game, LS.
Aatrox being banned away by Kingzone, so might not get to see a traditional Aatrox versus Urgot matchup up atop. A little bit unfortunate there. Tom Kench now banned away by Afreeca. And Kingzone locking in a Shen really quick. These teams actually select relatively fast, not really utilizing the full timer as much as they could. And Morgana, yet again, I'm beginning to think that Spirit is becoming a one-trick here. Oh, never mind. I don't know where this is going anymore.
Well, they're going to swap it over to Zoe here, as I would assume UCal would be piloting that pick. And Spirit once again just going to hop on the Thresh Morgana lane. I would assume this time. I don't want to see the Zoe flex to bottom lane. Didn't really work out for the Aatrox in game 1.
And Kingzone locking in Ziggs.
What?
And I guess that's, it's going to be Deft on Ziggs. I believe that he was one of the first ADCs in Korea to use Ziggs in bottom lane when the meta started changing up. You're going to be able to get a lot of plates, and Ziggs able to shred turrets very quickly. And we're going to have to see where all the champions on Afreeca are going. I don't know if Lucian's AD, I don't know if it's Morgana. It could be Zoe. Sometimes that happens in high-end Korean solo queue. But I would expect it to be Morgana Thresh bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the Ziggs. It makes sense based on what you said, but after you see Deft piloting just another AD carry to very high success, it kind of confuses me why you throw him onto an awesome dude like the Ziggs. Just bringing in a caster instead. So excited to see what he can do on this new kind of pick, as Keen once again is going to be the acting AD carry on the side of Afreeca. Probably hopping into the top lane once again.
Yeah, and we can talk about the team compositions really quick. where Zoe is going to be one of the main focal points for the other team, accompanied with the Camille. I would say that basically it's heavily pressure onto her to be able to carry. And on the flip side, though, Kali is a monster, Jax is a monster, Ziggs is a monster. These are three champions that don't really slow down that much. So it'll be interesting to see how these two team compositions collide.
Yeah, excited to see it in action, and it looks like we're about to get into it now as Game 2 starts now. Here we go. Game number 2 underway. Kingzone looked like a couple of tiers above Afreeca. Afreeca going to look to prove them wrong, but Proud proves me wrong that they're going to prove them wrong by missing his hook.
Well, when we're thinking about what both teams want to do respectively, Camille likely just only going to focus around the bottom half of the map, whereas Jax would only want to focus around the bottom if it's a means to counter gank or pressure gank the enemy bot lane and just give Deft the freedom to perma-push and not have anything interfere with him. So that's mostly going to be Jax's role. He shouldn't actually be able to gank any lane outside of the Urgot lane, and even that's going to be a little bit difficult against the Lucian, so might have a slower jungle start from Cuz, and it's going to be on Dread to make some fireworks happen, and if he doesn't, it could be very problematic for them as they move into the mid-game.
Hey, take a look at some runes here for Ziggs. Goes Unsealed Spellbook. After all of this, no Arcane Comet, no real harass kind of rune. Just decides he wants the flexibility to change out of the cleanse that he has picked up. What's your take on this? I'm not really impressed by it, LS.
Well, what it means is that Spirit isn't able to just attack Deft's mana pool and try to force a recall, and he's not limited by a teleport, but he will get access to teleport at minute 6. So then he'll be able to come back to the lane. Ideally, he would be able to get Lost Chapter at that point, and then from there, it's going to be a little bit hard for Spirit and Proud to try to stabilize that bottom lane.
Well, certainly an interesting choice, and speaking of which, Ruby Crystal picked up here for Akali in the mid lane for Pawn. Also not something you see all the time. I suppose he just wants that survivability, but does not build into that Hextech Gunblade, so kind of interested to see what he does build that into.
Probably end up making it a Oblivion Orb later on. But I do think it is a very interesting item to go first. Only going to give a little bit of HP. Meanwhile, some trades happening down in bottom.
Tucson, the second he sees the Thresh, decides he's going to hop onto the Shen. Taking a look at the bans here. The Alistair, Tom Kents were taken away in the second ban phase, and then Shen was picked up instead, so decided he wanted a cool melee kind of support champion here for Tucson, and Dread looking to attack the bottom lane. As the hook does come in, Tucson in a lot of trouble, does get the double taunt, but still, the flash blade comes in. A nice flash there on the stun. Can he get away? No, he cannot, as first blood this time goes to Dread.
And we were just talking about how Dread has to make stuff happen this game, and he made it happen in the lane that I would say is most crucial, actually, for Kingzone, where they need to get a lead and accelerate from, and so that's a fantastic gank that he was just able to make work there. And now Jax, you can see Cuz, he's not able to really find anything. I can't quite see the top minion wave, but before we talk about that, let's talk about this gank down in bottom lane. Tushin ended up getting locked up right there. You can see that Dread, he was holding onto his jump, waiting to see where would Tushin try to go. And Spirit ended up missing that binding right at the end there, but it wasn't going to matter all that much.
Yeah, they get the kill and the gold onto a Camille, so they should be pretty happy about that. Not necessarily looking for the fed Spirit Morgana. As just another door is opened here for Afreeca, already off to a much better start compared to game number 1. And after their success up against Gen G, they would love to add another win to the scoreboard.
see that Dread's, for the most part, circumventing trying to farm, and this is very, very coin flippy. He's neglecting his golem camp. He's not going to get the reset on those, whereas Cuz is going to have that available to them. And so even though they're even level right now, Cuz is going to have much more worthwhile camps respawning in his half of the jungle, and it's still not yet at a point where Camille should actually be able to coordinate ganks that easy, especially given that Camille's missing her flash.
That's definitely an interesting idea. I mean, he does go down, clear some of the vision, and make sure that Spirit and Proud do have the winning lane after the kill. But she is not able to find another gank. Immediate cleanse comes out of Deft, as he is not very enthused by the bottom lane Morgana Thresh. That can be really annoying to deal with all their CC.
Top lane right now, Urgot continuing to fall behind in the CS department. We saw this in game number 1. See Cuz down here clearing out some vision. He's just in close proximity, wants to make sure nothing happens. Tushin, the wave was pushing forward. He doesn't have his flash available, so things can definitely get very ugly. Lantern from Thresh into a Flay. Very easy to close a lot of distance.
See how they pilot this gank here as Dread probably looking for Tushin. Not gonna happen though, as he is recalling. Just thinking, yeah, oh, nope, he's still here. Looking once again for another hook here. Potentially could go for Deft here. Does have his flash, but no cleanse this time around. And well, lane pushes. Camille does head back to the base, and no gank will happen.
I like that. It looked like Kingzone were able to sniff that out. And you can look at it from Kingzone's perspective. Even if Kingzone were going to try to trade or anything, Ziggs doesn't have enough mana to want to do that, and he's also looking for a recall. He doesn't have any AP items right now. He's just sitting on a Sapphire Crystal. And so even though Spirit and Proud were doing their best to try to bait it, wasn't quite able to work out, and Dread ended up wasting a lot of time.
Take a look at the rotation shenanigans we have happening here as Ukal headed top and Keen headed to the mid lane, but then immediately Kingzone do send out their own response and swap once again. Will another swap happen, or will we just have the Keen in the mid lane once again? Wait for Chapter 2 to find out.
I think that the swap's actually really creative. You can see Akali went into the magic resistance boots, and that's not going to do anything against Lucian.
Well, Keen's doing an insane amount of damage to Rascal here, but it has to respect the Akali. Going in actually onto Dread. Double teleport is coming in. Dread forced to run away, and the big-time Fear Beyond Death is going to snipe him from downtown. Rascal able to pick up the kill, but Ukal looking for one more snipe. He goes in with the flash, and Cuz is going to go down to that red buff. Sleepy Trouble Bubble just a little bit wide there, but we will trade 1-for-1, it looks like, on the backside.
And Deft and Tushin are here to meet the wave. We're going to take a look at that replay in a second. It did look like Keen was being very overly cautious in those trades right there. Was actually quite surprised. I thought that it looked a lot better for Afreeca. We're going to see it one more time. You can see that right now it's sort of a 2-on-3, but Rascal ends up getting gutted for a lot of damage. The culling able to just do so much. And you can see right here that Dread and Keen do not seem to be on the same page. It feels as though Keen could be kiting up more, especially because he had Ukal from the left-hand side. There was nothing Cuz was going to be able to do. And it's not like you have to anticipate a Shen level 6. Keen played this way too cautiously. And even though Ukal was able to pick up the kill on Cuz there, they definitely missed out on more opportunities.
Yeah, maybe he just has the fear in his heart of that Akali. Too many solo queue games, perhaps, as she is a scary champion when she does get fed. Speaking of which, Pawn did not go down in the fight, actually picks up an assist for himself, so feeling good about that so far. We'll have to wait and see if he, jumping onto another mechanically, high ceiling kind of carry champion, can he actually make the carry work for his team as Rascal here?
Rascal, that sees you.
It's like, how does the Skull Crab work? I don't know.
He's trying to be a Rascal, making his way up the top lane. Not able to do it. Shen does have level 6 though now, so there's definitely a lot of playmaking potential that can be made. As meanwhile, Dread just gonna solo that Mountain Drake.
should be able to do it pretty easily, especially because Deft taking a bit of damage, but also forced to cleanse to make sure that he does get away. But Cuz looking for another 10-minute Rift Herald. Should be able to get this one, as Pawn is going to be seen now, but does not give away that this is happening.
This is a really okay timing. They know, they have confirmation that Dread is on the right-hand side of the map. They had priority up in top lane. Akali was able to reset mid lane, and Jax is a fantastic champion for taking this exactly at 10 minutes. So absolutely no risk whatsoever. And now with this early of a Rift Herald, means you can convert this into plates.
Yeah, you can. Kingzone hurting a little bit in the first gank and in the fight that didn't quite go their way, but this is definitely going to swing the tides in their direction. We'll have to wait and see which lane he does choose to send that down. Chose the mid lane in the first game, but also they were a million gold ahead, so.
Well, definitely this game, mid lane should be the primary focus for the Herald. You could argue using it bottom lane to just get that lane away and unlock the Morgana and Thresh on the map. Or lock them into the map, sorry.
Yeah. And now Keen looks to be in a bit of trouble as there is a sneaky rascal in the bush. Looking for it, and he actually funnels him right over here. Has to flash, not over the wall, but actually to his teammate, and the culling. Pretty good ability is going to push them away, as no gank will come off.
The noise that Lucian was making as he was doing the culling, it's probably how Keen feels right about now. He just wants to be left alone.
Yeah. It's been a sad day for Keen, who was the superstar of their first time around. They piloted this one. He was looking like a god on the Vayne and Lucian, but game number one, not very impressive, I'd have to say.
This game's looking a lot closer, and just look at Urgot's items. He has a Glacial Shroud, he has Ninja Tabi, and now he just picked up a Phage, so we got a bunch of HP. It is so obnoxious for Lucian to try to do anything against that, but hold that thought.
Okay, big time gank coming in. The flash taunt is going to get onto Yukal, who does flash away, but the ignite ticks down, and Tucson will pick up a cool kill in the mid lane, gives Pawn another assist.
Really clean right there, and absolutely massive pressure relief. And look at what they're doing. They're summoning the Herald, and this is so problematic for Afreeca. When you have a utility mage like Zoe or like something like Azir or Xerath, that mid-tier 1 turret is so crucial and important for controlling the vision around left and right-hand side river, leading up to major objectives like Dragons and also Baron, and it can just prove to be such a thorn in the opponent's side. So the fact that they get so much damage off on it right there, really good. Take a look at the replay one more time. Pawn able to just deliver Tushin right onto Yukal. He tries to flash away, but it doesn't matter. As you said, that ignite just ticking down.
Yeah, very nice kill there. You mentioned the damage on the turret, but also 320 gold to accelerate Pawn to a Hextech Gunblade is also really fantastic. Doesn't end up being able to finish that item, as he did start the Ruby Crystal, as we mentioned before, but he's just one step closer to picking that up. We might actually see Pawn carry another game here. Would be exciting.
One of the problems that Kingzone's having this game is that Ziggs is not achieving anything for what it was intended to do as a pick in this game. You look at the bottom lane turret, it still has 5 plates. It's not what a Ziggs wants to be seeing, especially not at 13 and a half minutes into the game. Plates are about to fall away in 20 seconds. So this Ziggs is very stunted as we approach the mid-game transition now.
Yeah, it's just it's a really interesting choice, as we were mentioning before, because you know pretty much 95% sure that Spirit is going to play Morgana if you don't ban it. So anyway, we got a gank here on Akeen as he gets exhausted and pummeled there by Jax, and down he will go, because gonna pick up that kill. Just like with the red smite, he just burns down, and they do get that kill.
And they're going to be able to also raise the top tier 1 turret as well.
Uh-oh, Pawn in a bit of trouble here, is in the Shroud. They see him with the scanner. And, well, he's going to try to hop away from this one, but Proud is also on the backside. Pawn trying to fight back here up against Drip, but in he goes and picks up that kill. And now Yukal actually eating way too much turret damage is going to go down. And Deft joining on up here. Dread in a little bit of trouble. We'll see if they actually do chase here. Doesn't look like it, as he does gain enough distance, but 1 for 1 is the trade in the bottom side.
And resulting that is going to be the follow-up push, but hold that thought as a teleport's being channeled.
Oh, you missed his play, but Dread has a lot of shielding here, trying to get that poke damage. In goes the flash. He misses another hook as Spirit wants to get that ult in, but he gets taunted down as the black shield not available. Not able to land anything. Dread also gonna miss, but he flashes in. The dot circle saves him, and Tushin is a god. He saves his AD carry, and Kingzone super happy with that trade.
They're going to be able to maintain pressure down in the bottom, and Spirit doesn't have a teleport, but it looks like Deft might want to go home, but I don't think so as he's popping those potions. Clearly showing intent and desire to stay. And you look at the map right now, well, after we look at this replay first, you can see they come in onto Pawn Sweeper, being used to detect where is Akali inside of that Shroud. And then right here, Dread goes in first, so it's not Proud holding the aggro. And then after getting the kill right there, Zoe ends up getting the aggro as Proud wasn't holding.
Yeah. Definitely unfortunate Yukal did not have to die there, but got taken out. We skip over a little bit ahead as the TP comes in. They want to punish Deft, but the Thresh really not working out today here for you, Proud. Playing a bit of a unfortunate series of events. The Spirit tries to make it happen, but can't execute on the backside.
And this was really unfortunate as well because Dread had vision of where Deft was, but then his hookshot just went the complete opposite way, so not too sure what was going on there. And so now if you're Afreeca and you're looking at your map, you're wondering, well, what do we do right now? Our Lucian is gimped, and the enemy team is considerably far ahead right now with a lot better champions as the game moves forward.
Yeah, feels pretty good. The Zig's not able to do a number in the bottom side, but Pawn and Tucson gonna come in here and try to take out this turret. Would be the second turret for Kingzone if they do pick that off. First Drake is an Ocean Drake. I know how unimpressed you are with Oceans and Clouds, and it seems like both teams here not too impressed with that either. Nobody making a move towards the Ocean Drake just yet.
Pawn doesn't want the proximity gold? We know that they can see almost all the members on the enemy team. Oh, Pawn does want the proximity gold.
There you go, Pawn.
Tries to move back into range for it.
That gold's pretty good. I hear that it buys you some sweet items, so should probably pick up as much of it as possible. Pawn agrees. Actually picks up a Kindle Gem up next, so no Oblivion Orb just yet for the Akali.
Interesting build path. When you look at the enemy team, yes, Akali doesn't have Sork Pen boots, but no magic resistance on the side of anyone on Afreeca, and they're likely not going to build into it either for a while, even though there is the Ziggs and the Akali, so definitely having to respect the Jax and the Urgot as well, so you don't want to just tunnel too hard on one sort of resistance.
Feels pretty good. Kingzone also slowly turning the tide of this game down to ahead by exactly 3,334 gold. Thank you, Riot, for that stat. And here we go. Fight breaking out. Spirit in a lot of trouble. It's going to be binded down, but here comes Rascal into the back line, and the big Ziggs bomb is going to be stopwatched, but he is in so much trouble. Down he will go. Spirit is going to be chased down, as well as Proud is going to be taunted up. Easy follow-up kill. Double kill goes to Rascal as Kingzone make it look easy on a couple of kills.
And speaking about making things easy, Ziggs takes turrets pretty easy. Might even be able to get the mid-tier 2 here. Never mind, Zoe looks like he's going to be able to defend, and now we're having another trade down in bottom.
Yeah, questionable engage here from Dread, trying to get the jump on Pawn, but you're going up against a Shen and an Akali that has red buff and is 2 levels above you. Pawn's like, thank you very much, I'll take the kill, and well, he does pick that one up. So very nicely done by Kingzone and Afreeca. Their struggles continue.
Take another look at this. Afreeca, absolutely no reason to be fighting over an Ocean Drake right here. It's not going to win or lose them the game. Rascal coming in from the right-hand side here. I felt like he waited a little long on his ultimate. Doesn't really end up mattering as Tushin able to land that taunt at the very end, while Deft, meanwhile, just north of this, was cleaning up the mid-tier 1 turret. That satchel charge. Kingzone ended up picking up the Ocean Drake as well. And now we have Baron coming up in 20 seconds, but there's no need to rush it. There's no reason to play risky. Continue to make plays with the Stand United on Shen, with the Akali, or even a Jax. And this is going to be a very easy game for Kingzone, as the longer that this game continues, it just keeps getting worse and worse for Afreeca.
That it does. I kind of feel bad for Spirit and his shenanigans. If I remember correctly, I think it was the Nico that lost, and it was the Morgana and the Annie that won. Not 100% sure about that, but the Morgana today seems to be totally read like a book and countered here by Kingzone. Because now Dread is down 2 levels, but they're going for Pawn here, who does take a bunch of damage.
Afreeca making some desperate attempts. You can see that when this stage of the map, or when the map gets to this stage, there's no neutral objective. Realistically, you can't do Baron. Realistically, you can't actually siege or try to get a turret. So what do you try to do? You can try to control vision and look for picks, or you can just sort of sit back and try to rely on scaling up and pray that the bounties go your way and rubber banding XP and catch up XP and whatnot. But Afreeca looking very desperate with some of the plays that they've been trying to make, and we've also seen some erroneous macro decisions, like just before the Ocean Drake this game, last game when they decided that it was a good idea to walk into Barren River down 10k.
Well, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures, I suppose. And League of Legends is no different. We see this a lot from teams that get behind, just try to force plays that are definitely not even as good as 50-50. So we'll see if Afreeca can have that miracle from downtown and try to counter this one, as Kingzone Deft might get himself into trouble. But no, he's smarter than that. 2019 isn't going to bite the bait. As Proud and Dread were waiting in, you know, in the side lane there, in the side of the jungle, just looking for the pick. As Rascal, also a beast, completed his 2 items plus stopwatch. So not really much you can do up against an Urgot. That's why he's such a safe pick and so often first picked here in the LCK.
He's going to be around for a while, too. 9.2 patch. He was one of the few premier meta picks that didn't really get hit hard enough.
Yeah.
So stick around, enjoy the Urgot. I'm sure everyone loves it. Everyone in Twitch chat, YouTube, wherever you're watching.
You gotta be kidding me. I'm pretty much, I'm done with the Urgot. I'm not very happy with him.
I think anyone is.
Yeah.
I think Rascal hates his life right now.
Who was it? Someone said in an interview, he was like, yeah, I win a lot on Urgot, that's why I play him, but it's really boring. I wish I didn't have to play him. I forget who that player was, but definitely the name of the game when you play Urgot. You pick up wins, but you're very excited to go back home and play solo queue and not have to play Urgot.
What do you mean? Of course you gotta play Urgot in solo queue. You trying to win?
Well, if you can get solo kills against an AD carry, that would be a nice little bonus.
Just don't play it like this. Now,
this is questionable from Rascal, I have to say. This is not what you want to do when you're playing Urgot. You do not want to suicide 1v4 as
That's not enemy team Urgot. That's your Urgot.
Your Urgot? Yeah. Well, we'll just try to erase that from our memory as well. We're trying to get onto Deft in the back line, as Dodge Circle not going to come in time, as Dread is super low, and all of a sudden the big damage comes in. Bounties go the way of Afreeca, and have they just bought themselves a ticket into the game? I think they may have, LS.
Well, you know what I think that they bought is a preview to NALCS later, as that's the only thing I'm thinking about when I'm seeing these type of macro rotations and decision making. So we're getting a glimpse early. I am so excited to be front row for this.
Well, there you go. They're going for the Baron, as Sleep Trouble Bubble is there onto Akali. He's almost definitely dead, although he does pick up his Shroud. Cuz trying to get in there. They're trying to go 2v5. Can they actually make it happen? The Baron's super low. Here comes Shen, but no, he is going to be burst down, and tail between his legs. Pawn is going to go home. They have to give away the Baron alongside a kill, as Afreeca have definitely made their way back in the game.
The whole game just turned around in the last 3 minutes, from the Urgot that is cosplaying your solo queue teammates to the random macro decision. You can see right here, Pawn trying to fight with Spirit, ended up picking up the kill onto him, but at the same time, his teammate thought it was a really good idea to dive Lucian behind the tier 2. Deft ends up getting caught out by Dread right here. Camille, excellent champion. Zig's damage not able to quite do enough. You can see Cuz doesn't really know where to go. And then Afreeca, very quick and decisive to make that Baron call. Saying, let's go, let's go.
Gotta love Spirit. No shortage of energy there on the side of Afreeca, as somehow, some way, they are back in this game in a big way. And I mean, you get Zoe online now. You give some free items over to Lucian, who has a Hex Drinker now on top of his 2 core items. And all of a sudden, I mean, you just open that door that should have been shut very tightly. Big feels bad moments here for Kingzone.
The game was totally over. If Kingzone just took it a little bit slower, if Rascal didn't decide that it was a good idea to dive that tier 2 turret, Akali would have gotten the kill up in top, would have probably raised the top tier 2 turret. Def just had to wait for a bit for someone to rotate to top tier 2. He would have raised the mid tier 2. Everything would have been good. They recall, they get their items, they go to Baron. They finish off the game that way with their gold lead and just suffocating the opponents. But instead, they weren't feeling that.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, it's Pawn, who is like, what's going on, team? Definitely a role reversal here on the side of Kingzone, as he's lying in wait. He's super fed. If there's one guy who could solo the Lucian, it's probably Pawn. You might see that here, as we're getting the big angle, and Pawn decides, actually, Thresh and Camille are too nearby. He's actually staying in the brush, though. We'll see if this amounts to anything.
Oh, actually, I think that this is a win for Kingzone. If they don't know about Akali, this will definitely turn into a win for Kingzone.
Oh, here we go.
Don't let the Baron buff fool you. Kingzone is still stronger.
We got Sen in the back line, too. Here comes the Submarine, as now Keen in a ton of trouble. Down he will go. Proud is ignited and will go down on the backside. Pawn, no more Shroud, but the rest of his team comes in as the big bomb will go off from the Ziggs. Trying to just clean up the rest of the kills here, as Yukal also in a ton of trouble. Nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, as only Dread will survive with a sliver of health.
They just didn't check those brushes as they were moving by them. And so Pawn was able to get a free flank, and they never could anticipate that. A little bit unfortunate by Afreeca. They had no inclination that Pawn was going to make that play. And Kingzone, even though Afreeca has those Baron stats, they have the Baron minions, it doesn't really matter when Afreeca is split up, miscombobulated, and when Kingzone's champions get dream scenarios.
Yeah, you just get your Akali so much more fed. He already has, well, you know, standard build here for Akali, Black Cleaver and Hex Drinker. We'll have to talk about that a little bit later, but here's the replay.
Taking a look at the replay, and you can just see Keen gets locked up. Akali deals fair amounts of damage. And Yukal arriving to that fight awfully late. Ziggs ultimate just doing massive amounts of damage. Dread able to get the triumph from his runes right there, able to stay alive. And then right here, Yukal not really feeling too happy right at the end.
So, take a look at the damage. Yes, that is a fed Akali. Feels pretty good about her life right now. Is doing the most damage. 67 there from Thresh, so close, but so far away at the same time. As he didn't do much in that one, except go down, as they're really trying to get a bunch of Baron vision already. It's not coming up in about 2 minutes. Until 2 minutes here, as the hook will once again sail wide.
2 minutes, definitely more than enough time to get that slow push moving down in bottom lane. Not quite sure where Rascal's going. But everyone's just posturing for Vision Afreeca, trying to do their best Worlds cosplay here.
Ooh. Wow, that was pretty brutal. That was a big zinger. Kind of flew over my head, but I got it eventually. But yeah, so what do you think about the 80 Akali build, essentially? The mixed damage coming out from Pawn. 2 interesting builds today.
The interesting thing for me is you already have a Black Cleaver on your team from Urgot, and so I can understand if you're trying to amplify damage for Urgot and Jax, and you just want the HP, because you can't go Sterex if you're going to go Maw of Malmortius, which it does look like Akali is itemizing into. So I could understand it from that perspective, but overall I'm going to have to give it a... Yeah, it's a bad. It's a bad out of 10.
Okay. Well, how about this? They're trying to kill Deft on the backside, who has a ton of farm, and down he will go. Shen, not even able to join the fight, but he goes the Jax. Big fear beyond Deft on the two people, as Dread now might be meeting his maker, Pawn, trying to get on top of UCal, but they got to kill Dread first. He is going to go down to the Urgot. Here comes Pawn. Thinking about trying to get onto Spirit, but he is going to be binded down as the rest of Afreeca in full retreat mode, as Kingzone will pick up, surprisingly, another big fight.
And that's just going to be a very easy Baron now. Rascal recalled, teleported right back in as Baron is spawning. And you can see that none of the Afreeca members are really in any close proximity to try to threaten this.
Well, here comes the TP from Spirit. As Pawn, he's in full assassination mode, but he sees UCal and decides probably not a good idea. He's still going to try to zone them as they're looking for the turn big time. Next set Gunblade on the W here for Zoe, looking for the pick. Isn't going to do much except just poke Rascal, and they actually do turn away from the Baron. Not comfortable enough to go for it just yet.
Taking a look at the replay, Afreeca charging into this like they charged into Cloud9 at Worlds. And right there, they ended up picking up the kill onto Deft. Fear Beyond Death right there, you can just see how much of an impact it really had. Dread almost able to help pick up the kill onto Cuz and then Rascal, but just wasn't enough. And then right here, Pawn, Kali, nice champion, but Spirit able to run away. The follow-up to this, though, that was really peculiar was Pawn, it does so much damage, and he's so important to shredding that Baron, but instead he was on lifeguard duty, and it didn't make any sense because he could still achieve lifeguard duty even after leashing and doing damage to the Baron just by running into Shroud and running at the opponent. So not quite sure what that play was. And so because of that, Baron is still alive as Kingzone look to get their third Ocean Drake.
Yeah. Kind of felt solo queue-esque to me, where it's like, I just want to pick up more kills, and I don't know. Definitely agree. I think he should have been on the Baron, but maybe next time, as Afreeca is trying to control the mid lane now. Here we go. He's actually going big time onto Rascal, who's going to be jumped upon here, trying to put down that Fear Beyond Death, but there's the Guardian Angel. Cuz getting a little bit low. Huge damage from the Ziggs as there goes the flash taunt, and down will go Dread. As now trying to jump to the back line. Keen extremely low, but they can't take him out. And now Pratt on the front line, and Pawn makes it into the back here. Gonna take out one. Spirit, as that Zonya's available, they keep Deft alive against UCal.
Oh my.
He's trying so hard to carry this one, but he cannot. As Pawn is gonna say no and try to chase him down. Big team fight win there for Kingzone once again.
That was absolutely massive. UCal was trying to be UCan in that fight, but just not enough. Ends up missing the Sleepy Bubble Trouble. That's going to probably be all she wrote in a second here. Although it looks like Kingzone, yeah, they have intentions to end this game, and UCal's not going to be able to get back.
Yep, there you go, observers. We got the Nexus. It is going to go down, and Pawn got the kill. Just one for the record books there. Picks up another one. As GT will go the way of Kingzone. 2 quick wins tonight. Make it look really easy, as they seemed on a whole other level here up against Afreeca shenanigans and didn't seem fazed by it at all.
And then, I mean, they pulled out some shenanigans of their own. I mean, the Ziggs pick for Deft in this game number 2. And Kingzone, they had a really sloppy mid-transition with some of the macro errors that they ended up making. They looked a lot cleaner inside of team fights, but Afreeca also quick to do some interesting plays at certain points of the game.
Interesting, you say? Yes, definitely looked like Rascal was trying to run it down a little bit, but he got back on his feet. People make mistakes, and I'm sure he's, you know, that's just one of those big whoopsie moments that you never really want to see. You'd like to see some more consistency, but hey, 2-0 victory, definitely consistent, and that puts them on a winning spree as well. 2 in a row here, as Kingzone's fate doesn't look as dim as it did when they started off this season 0-2. As Pawn also bringing in all the funky builds, trying to style a little bit, I suppose, up against Afreeca tonight.
Pawn actually was, for the most part, quite good today.
Yeah.
As well. You know, we talked about at the very beginning of the cast that his teammates were having to put in a lot more effort in the games, And mid lane sort of felt like a weak link in some of their games, but in today's series, I mean, the Akali, outside of that Black Cleaver build, which was very bizarre, Pawn actually did a good job.
Yeah. Maybe just, you know, playing around a little bit, perhaps, but it's definitely an interesting item choice. Maybe we'll see it in the future, as well as finally we get to see Kingzone happy once again. Good to see the smiles on their faces here as well. That was a nice little intro to the LCK for you here, LS, and very, very quick series. So again, guys, we'll have that monster of a break as the next series will not start until about 8 p.m., which is exactly an hour and a half from now. So just by that, you can tell how quickly Kingzone were able to put the nail in the coffin here tonight.
Yeah. And we'll see if Kingzone can continue the trend in their future series, and we'll see if Afreeca can bounce back from this as well. And what other type of innovative picks? You know, Spirit alluded to something. I don't think that we really saw it in tonight's games, but also, I really feel bad for Keen in these games.
Yeah.
Feels like a really unfortunate series of events.
Yeah.
And 9.2 patch coming. I actually don't think the meta is going to be shaken up too much. I even mentioned during this game that Urgot likely not to be moved. Akali is going to be a monster. Galio will be gone, though, for the most part.
You think he'll be gone after the nerfs
I think he's gutted.
Yeah.
I think we've had enough of Galio now in the LCK.
It's just one less tank in the mid lane, so that makes me pretty happy as a mid laner.
He was a tank?
Well,
he's like an assassin.
I guess he's not a tank anymore. That's true, but feels pretty beefy. But yeah, he's a big burst, a big boy burster for sure. As excited to see who we're gonna get the MVP for and who will be interviewing here. Probably Deft and Pawn would be my guess after game number 2 here, as Deft picked up the MVP from game 1.
Yeah, I would definitely say that Pawn's Akali did very well, the Rise at particular points. Cuz was quite good with some of his engages, but yeah, Deft in game number 1 on the Varus, absolutely fantastic. So I would say it's probably between Pawn, Deft, and Cuz. Yeah,
definitely pick that one up. But guys, we are going to take a look at the highlights here, as things started off better in this game for Afreeca, but couldn't actually win it.
The interesting thing is that they got they got the first kill in the exact lane that they wanted it. This is not what Kingzone wanted to have happen. This entire game, Ziggs got no plates. Then later on, it just didn't seem to matter as they started falling apart right here. Kingzone, beautiful delivery with the Akali Shen, able to pick up that kill onto UCal. It should also be mentioned that Keen this game was definitely locked up into top lane, not able to get a lead. And then this fight, you have to wonder, why is Afreeca prioritizing an Ocean Drake at this part of the game? You don't have your primary ADC, he's locked up in top lane. There's no reason to be in mid. There's no reason to be in bottom. Just give away the Ocean Drake to Kingzone, but they didn't want to do that. And just when we were thinking that they were out of it, though, there was the interesting play where Urgot got killed down in bottom. Deft right here, saw him ended up getting picked up, and then Afreeca were able to convert this into a Baron. It was just moments later, though, that Pawn was able to find that beautiful flank. I actually just forgot about that. It probably gives him the MVP in and of itself.
Yeah, he was ruling the game from minute 1 here on the Akali, making it look like it is a really big pick here in professional play, and even in solo queue, it was banned in game 1 by Kingzone. It was actually foregone by Afreeca in game 2. They could have picked it up as first pick, but they picked the Lucian instead, which ended up not doing nearly as much as Akali in this game.
Definitely think a little bit of a draft blunder right there, and even though they got Deft here in this highlight, doesn't really matter. Fair beyond death. Able to do so much inside of this fight. Dread trying his best to try to pick up some kills there, not quite able to. And then after this, this is where we thought that Kingzone would just be able to get a pretty free Baron. Pawn had other ideas, though, as he was standing watch.
They try to get on top of Rascal here, and I think all they got out of this one was a Guardian Angel. Some pretty huge Ziggs damage. He was more of just the backup damage in this one, as it was really just the Cuz and Pawn show. Also Rascal, pretty good game on the Urgot. once again here. Showing why he has to play that champion. Still too good. Yukal desperately trying to carry by himself.
Yeah, Yukal actually looked very panicked in that fight. I think that some of his decisions right there were a little bit questionable, trying to be Yukan. And we can just take a look at this post-game breakdown. Look at the amount of damage that Zoe did. Absolutely massive. And then on the side of Kingzone, the damage very scattered. Kali doing the most. Jax surprisingly actually dealing very little.
Yeah, only 8.5 thousand gold there, so those are some drawings of the Korean casters. It looked like
said God Yongjun and handsome Yongjun.
Yes.
This is what the two signs said. Minam means handsome or beautiful. Actually translate. Oh no, that's Minam is flower face.
Yeah.
Never mind. There's your Korean lesson
not
for the day.
the flower face. Just a good-looking guy in general, of course. Yep. Dongjun. We're gonna take a look at the MVP here, guys. I would have to imagine it's Pawn.
I think it's Pawn.
If we did have votes, I would have put it on to Pawn, and I would, I
would put it on to Rascal.
Okay. How about Tucson?
How about no?
You want to revoke this MVP LS? You want to get down there and?
We're gonna need to count the votes.
I mean, he played Shen very well, but it was more of a, just teamwork with the Submarine Shen essentially. As
a lot of the plays that he ended up making wasn't through his own accord. I mean, obviously we can't know what the comms are, but it wasn't as standoutish, I think, as some of the other plays that we were seeing inside of the game. Even, for instance, right here, you're going to see him hit a taunt, but that's because Spirit can't find his Black Shield. So that ends up landing right there. He gets to pick up the kill. Was able to. And even in this endgame fight, just watch Yukal. If the replay continues, you can see that he's not even focusing on the left-hand side right there. He was trying to be Yukan, but not able to. You can't in that game.
He could not. The Zoe looked okay in the beginning, but a couple of those plays did not lead him to pick up any of those kills. So we're actually going to be hearing from Tucson, which is very interesting. Good Shen play, I suppose. Would have handed that one to Pawn. Feels like he kind of got robbed on that one. But either way, guys, I'm going to hand it over to Ji-sun. She's going to help us translate this interview.
Thank you very much, guys. Today we're going to be joined by Deft and Tucson from Kingzone DragonX. So you guys picked up 2 consecutive victories. How do you feel? Well, I made a lot of mistakes on game 2. So I'm a bit sad, but 2-0 victory, yeah, I'm quite happy. Congratulations, and Tucson? Well, I took down my former team, Afreeca, so I'm really happy. And I saw the taunt or some emote play on Keen during the games. Before games. So we were kind of making fun of each other because we were really close. I'm really happy that I am the final winner. Then let's move on to games. Afreeca today also shows some unorthodox picks and bans. Were you guys ready for that? Well, we knew that they were gonna go with some non-AD carry draft if there's no aiming, instead Spirit. So I just wanna go with some strong champion at the laning phase, and I think it went well. But Yukal actually rotated to bot lane. Well, Spirit or Yukal, both are not good enough to face me at bot lane. And your Varus was really amazing today. The champion itself can pull off very different playstyles. Different items, different runes. So today I went to poke Varus, and I think it went quite well. And it dealt almost 30k damage. And it is your main champion, so is there any special reason for that? I can be really proactive when I play Varus. So yeah, it's a champion that I can always kind of lock in. And you know, this is a meta where there are a lot of non-AD carry champions coming to bot lane. So is it a good counter? Yeah, Varus has CC and a very strong laning phase. So I think it is a really good champion. Then let's move on to game 2 with Tucson. You saved a lot of your teammates, Tom Kent and Shen. Did they say thank you to you? No, they just they never appreciate my help, but I'm used to it. And there was this skirmish at bot lane. You were so close to dying, but Tucson saved you on Shen. I mean, he has to do it. I do the damage, and he has to support me. It's just natural. This is the highlight. And you also mentioned that you really wanted to take down your original team, Afreeca. Yeah, same as Deft, I also wanted to go with some proactive champion where I can make a lot of plays, so that's why I locked in Tom Kent and also Shen. Well, actually I wanted to just abandon him, but after seeing him sidestepping so well, I changed my mind to save him. And Tucson, what kind of role were you playing as a player today, as a whole? As a bot laner? I just wanted to support a lot of other players in my team, but I actually wanted to other players on the top side, you know, top laner or mid laner to their work on their own, and I just wanted to support Deft today hard. Kingzone, your next opponent will be Damwon. They're really are on point, so any message for it? Do you have any message, Susan? First of all, we are now in a quite good score right now, so I want to go back to the basic, and I want to join the top teams in LCK. Then Deft, today is Pon's birthday, so is there any birthday wish for him? Happy birthday, Pon. Very heartwarming interview from Kingzone DragonX, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for that translation. As always, Deft, very cute, not saying much, and also the happy birthday to Paul.
To Paul?
I don't know what's going on today. Pawn.
Cheating on Papa? What?
Yeah, and right. Papa. That's what I wanted to mention. I finally got it out. Happy birthday to Papa, and happy birthday to Pawn. A couple of great members of the community. And, well, here we go. Sitting at 0 now in terms of indicator score, and 2-2 means that Kingzone are in 6th place and slowly climbing here, LS.
Yeah. And we're going to see Sandbox later on tonight take on Hanwha. So really looking forward to that match, and we'll see how the standings end up finalizing at the end of today.
Yeah, and right now, guys, it is 6:45, so that means we're going to be back in about an hour and 15 minutes. So we're going to eat some dinner. I'm sure it'll be delicious here at Riot, as always, and get up to that Sandbox versus Hanwha Life matchup. Really interesting stuff. Sandbox surprising a lot of people by saying, you know, hey, we're out here to win, actually. We're not going to be one of the lower teams. And Hanwha Life, same thing, up against Griffin, nearly take a win, looking strong as well as LS.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it, more so actually than I was this match, especially once, you know, I thought that there's not a real possibility of Annie again, right?
Yeah,
so
I know. It's ridiculous.
Can't wait for 8
It's really
PM.
unfortunate. Well, either way, guys, we're going to join you in about an hour and 15 minutes, so we'll see you then for Sandbox.